Joining me now to discuss this is Fiona Simpson, Member for Maroochydore and Shadow Minister for Finance, Better Regulation and Integrity in Government. Fiona, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
Are you concerned about the transparency arrangements that are in place for the organising of the Games?
Thanks, Amanda. Yes, and obviously people want to know that if there's going to be an event like the Olympics that has been committed to, that it's in the public interest, that it's being done in their interest, and that there is legacy infrastructure that serves all of Queenslanders. But what we've seen with this government is they've broken their promise about transparency and independence, and they've broken their promise already with a number of projects they've suddenly announced without any evidence as to why they picked them and why they had that particular price tag.
Does this reflect a pattern or is it a one-off?
It's very much in the DNA of this Labor government. And look, it's disappointing that this government started off promising to be transparent and accountable. But the pattern has well and truly been entrenched. You only have to look at Transport Minister Bailey. You only have to look at how hard it was to get the information out of the government about the blowout in the trains and the costs and who knew what when. More than $2.4 billion. That's a tertiary hospital. So it's a pattern. And what we see happening, though, is that other projects that should happen for the interests of all Queenslanders get destroyed in the black hole of incompetence and budget blowouts.
Why do you think that the government has this perception that it will be well placed to deliver infrastructure on time and on budget for the Olympics, given it doesn't seem to be able to do that in the ordinary course of government?
No, they certainly can't do the on time and on budget. There's unfortunately a litany, and I wish there wasn't.
Yeah.
Sure that there is a string now of billions of dollars, blowouts on be it rail, be it other projects and roads. But I think it's more about controlling the narrative rather than controlling the projects. There are so many infrastructure projects we need throughout Queensland, and the dollars aren't infinite. They need to be spent well. This is more about them picking hero projects rather than championing all of Queensland and making sure those dollars are spent in their interests.
So it's about spin and media messaging rather than substance.
Absolutely. And why would you go to the ends they have to bury so many of these projects under a false claim that they've had an independent consultant do something? Look, this should be independent. There should be an independent oversight. There should be transparency. There should be clarity about when they're going to come forward with some of these projects and why these decisions have been made.
You're the Shadow Minister responsible for matters of integrity. What needs to change here? What would the LNP do differently?
Well, firstly, David Christoffoli committed to having a minister who was responsible for integrity in government. But that is a responsibility of everybody. And inherently, transparency, accountability, checks and balances on how decisions are made, that matters. Ensuring that you drive matters for the public interest and not for the political interest. We've seen a record number of scandals just in recent times with the chaos and crisis of this government. And they've really squandered the opportunity in government to do so much good by being abusive of decision-making, by picking projects where they've been no transparency and then having huge cost blowouts that really are costing all of Queenslanders.
Look, I've got no particular beef with the consulting firms, and appropriately applied, they've got a lot of expertise. But does their overuse undermine the capability and attractiveness of both the public service in its ability to do its job, but as an attractive career?
Yes, and you need a public service that is empowered and excellent in what they do to be able to speak truth to power, to provide independent advice. You don't need a public service that finds that the government has conveniently outsourced their decision-making to very, very lucrative contracts. But mind you, you start to look at the number of DGs that have moved in and out of some of these big consultancies. I think that you need to have a public service that knows that they're not going to get done over because the government's going to put something out to a very lucrative contract. And a lot of the public servants are the ones who are actually pulling together the figures and then finding that their views are being ignored. It's time to have the public sector properly able to make decisions and advise government, but you also want to ensure that there's integrity in the decision making, and that is released, that it's not hidden, that it's clear why decisions are made, because integrity matters inherently, but it matters to ensure that people get good decisions in their interest.
And it's interesting in this case, the recommendation for it to be dealt with as a matter externally, as a matter of best practice Olympic organisation, is almost a suggestion that it should be outside of the public service. And yet, so often this government wants to use the public service only for political control rather than as a organisation of depth and talent to be developed so that it can serve efficiently in the public interest. Where's the right balance between how much should be dealt with in the independent agency framework and how much should be dealt with in-house?
Look, that's a very fair point to make, but I think the issue here is it's still the government that's making the policy decisions. Regardless of who they farm out some of the work to, it's the government that makes the decisions. And I think that what they've been doing is trying to hide how those decisions are being made, and that's the real issue.